Never seen a smile so big on my little old lady's face until I tell her I'm going fishing all weekend. Pack up all of my bait and I make plans for 7:45 and I swing around, pick up my date for the weekend. Some reason she seems to please when I'm leaving. There's something I'm missing when I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing.
Yeah, baby.
Yes, sir. Always a pleasure to see us CFNers every Monday night. Richard Dunlop, always a pleasure to see you. James is in the house. Tony's also here. Adrian's here. Bruce Downs. Good evening, folks. Nice to see you, Bruce. Nice to see all of you here, as you usually always are on Mondays. And I truly appreciate that. And I know our panel does. And we've got a few interesting things to talk about tonight. We have, well, hopefully, I haven't seen just yet, but I know he's busy. I know Jim's probably reaching out to him right now, but we've got the one and only Cooper Gallant, who's going to be joining us tonight, which is a pleasure because he's been rocking it. Anybody who's been following Bassmaster and the Elite Series, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Camp Macintosh is in the house. Nice to see you, folks. Andre and Tracy, I hope you guys are enjoying a little bit of time off, but the season is quickly starting, and we're going to get to why you guys should be aware of Camp Macintosh and all that is available at that beautiful camp. But just a couple of announcements. It's great seeing all you folks. Holy smokes, Bob's here. Chris Church is in the house, the one and only. We got to get him on to discuss the differences between walleye and pickerel. I got quite a tongue lashing from him today, how incorrect I am. No, I'm just kidding. Enzo, nice to see you. But as I said, lots to talk about, lots going on. First and foremost, I want to apologize because tonight we were going to do the draws from the show. And unfortunately, a lot has happened. Our good buddy Brad he took some time off with his wonderful wife, which was much needed. And unfortunately got rushed back to hospital again and had that uncomfortable procedure performed, and anybody who was at the show knows, so I won't talk any more about it, but he's good, all well. But let's just say we got busy. Both he and I have been fighting off something as well. So as I said, I'm going to apologize for tonight, but I can guarantee you next week we are going to have the draw. And what's really going to be cool about this is there's going to be 3 draws. And Brad and I spoke about it last night. We have decided that 3 guides, charters, whichever way you want to look at it, who stepped up and have supported in a really big way. And we're first to step up because we really didn't know how to do it. I would love to be able to buy a charter from all of you folks because I know bookings have been tough. Perhaps if we run a couple more shows, we'll be able to do a little bit more for our community. But I want to thank Fishing Fanatics, Sparkus Fishing, and of course Handlebars. Those 3 charters, the Made in Canada Tackle Show, are going to purchase half-day charters on behalf of the winners, and we are going to raffle off 2 for the guests who filled out ballots and 1 for you vendors. So stay tuned. Next Monday, I guarantee we will be doing that. So stay tuned. I hope somebody wins that will take a lot of picks, bring a couple of their friends, and you know what? Introduce them to fishing. I would love for nothing more than for the winners to bring people that perhaps may never fished. That's what it's all about. But giving back to the community is what we plan to do. And as I said, really appreciate the accolades, the positive feedback. Right now, things are in the works for the next show. We're going to do it sort of off season, which will be a little bit different than a lot of the other shows. But some of the suggestions have been trying to line it so that it's not complicating or crowding other shows that are in existence already. It's tough to do, and I just want folks to understand. We would love to be able to pick the date, but we can't. The venue is unfortunately booked up pretty solid. We are looking at other options as well, but we have a date. It is almost confirmed. We will be getting it to you very, very soon. It is a little off season. It's not usually when you would have a show necessarily, but I think it's far enough away from the end of the season and all the seasons of fish, all the migrations of fish, the hot times for fishing, yada, yada, yada. So I think we've taken everything into account, and it's going to be right before our OFC Nation retreat, which is kind of cool. Anyway, I want to get to a few other announcements before we bring on the one and only. But this Thursday, starting March 14th to the 17th, it's the Toronto Sportsman Show. And if you guys want to come by, I'd love to see you. We are, myself and my partner Stanley, are going to be at the Next Gen Young Anglers booth. And if you want to help out, come by and buy a raffle ticket, because there's some incredible prizes that are going to be raffled off at the conclusion of that show, the Toronto Sportsman Show. So come by, buy a ballot ticket, help out what is truly great events for these at-risk kids. And I tell you, it warms the heart to see these events go on, because in a lot of cases, they don't have much else in their lives. So would love to see you at the Sportsman Show. Of course, Jay would love me to remind you of the Spring Catfish Extravaganza that is starting March 30th. You can still sign up. It's $25 an angler, but it's a great little tournament. It's kind of off season, which is allowing anglers to compete when there's not a lot of species available. So I'm looking forward to seeing the results of that. But please sign up. All the available information is there. And if you don't see it, reach out to Jay Pierce, and he will definitely point you in the right direction. And, of course, right after that, April 7th, CanCast. Moose is going to be on here a little bit later to discuss that. But CanCast, April 7th in Peterborough. It is a standing room only show. I anticipate this being just like the others, a home run, knock out of the park. And there is some incredible prizes and opportunities for you anglers available prior to the show as well as at the show. But looking forward to seeing you there and the rest of OFC Nation. Up next, of course, there's a whole bunch of other things, but I need to get to some of the important stuff. Horwood Lake Lodge, Warren and Doris, again, have reminded us that there is just the one cabin available. Cabin sleeps 4. So if you're interested in booking a cabin for 4 of you to join us at the 6th annual CFN retreat, love to see you there, because there's lots to be had. And, of course, the fishing ain't so bad either. Needless to say, we go out, and it's a great day on the water. Warren and Doris allow us just to worry about fishing. We come in, there's always food available, and you literally eat, sleep, and fish. And I can't think of a better way to spend a week. It's beautiful country up there. It's a wonderful drive. There's always awesome people that show up at these retreats. But needless to say, you're welcome to bring your boat. But boats are available. Walleye are also available. And that guy right there, Walter, is going to be joining us. So I'm looking forward to seeing you folks there if, in fact, you're looking to book that last remaining cabin. Of course, after that, we are going to be up at Camp McIntosh. Andre and Tracy, they're working really hard to book the camp, and all I'll say is we would love to have you up there. It's going to be the 3rd annual OFC Nation retreat. It's always a lot of fun, and it's usually a host of characters that I just love hanging around. And here's a promo video I'd love to share with you. If, in fact, you're interested and maybe want to know a little bit more about the fishing that's available to you.
Yeah, baby! Macintosh 2023!
Camp Macintosh is September 27th to the 29th. Cost is $205 per person, which of course provides you a place to lay your head at the end of the night, as well as a boat if you need it. It's $155 per person per night. If you do not, it's a two-night event, 27th to the 29th. You are able to come up a little bit earlier, but please reach out to Andre and Tracy to make sure there is availability for you. But we look forward to seeing you. That's September 27th to the 29th. And of course, Hartwood Lake Lodge. It too. I can't believe that Warren and Doris are able to keep the price what it was last year with everything going up. I don't know how they do this, but August 11th to the 17th, it's $875 plus tax per person. And that includes a place to lay your head, boat, your bait, fuel. You really want for nothing when you go up there. And as I said, those two venues are absolutely fantastic. And we'd love to see you up there. So on that note, I'm done with the announcements, and I can see the one and only is in the backstage. But before we bring him in, before we introduce Cooper for, I think, the third time we've had him here on live, let's look back, because the one thing I truly love about Cooper is all the videos he produces. He makes my job very, very easy. So here's a look back and some of the beautiful footage that Cooper has been providing us, just like this.
2023 was my rookie season on the Bassmaster Elite Series, and it was incredible. It was a year I will never forget. As many of you guys know, fishing the Bassmaster Elite Series has been a dream of mine ever since I can remember. I'm going on to fish my second season on the Bassmaster Elite Series.
Yes!
And I'm hungrier than I've ever been. Thank you guys for following along my crazy journey on the Bassmaster Elite Series, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 1 of The Chase, presented by G. Loomis. Good?
Now, Big Jim, I have to ask you, there was a really cool story that you shared up front about the passion that Cooper had, and I want you to share how devoted he was to making it as an angler.
Oh, about the FLW thing. So the Renegade Bass Classic is going on literally in my backyard. On one side of the hedge is the stage and where everything's happening. My backyard has become Renegade Bass Central. Everybody's parked there. They got tents, like it was like just like a circus. I got half a dozen guys staying in the house here, and young Cooper and Gary or Danny are up practicing on the Big Rito for the FLW tournament there. And on the last night, we get a call from them, and they're out there, and we're sitting here. You know the way my house has the windows at the end. we're watching this wicked storm, absolutely wicked storm. It was just brutal. The wind, the rain. So it gets dark out. Everybody's here. I get a call from Coop, and they're down at the big Rito. They're just dying. And then like a few minutes later, pal, they're at the door here. I told them to come down. Tammy kicks into, like, they were so much younger. It was like 6-7 years ago. And Tammy kicks into mom mode, you know, and gets them a place to sleep and everything. And they went out the next day and won the tournament. So it's just really, really cool that you know, like to be part of that stuff, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's Jamie. Like the kid I posted a thing a while ago that I found in my memories that was a little ad that Cooper had where he was willing to cut lawns and whatever else, you know, so he had some money to go fishing. And I just thought that was, you know, probably entry fees too back then for him when he was just getting started. So, you know, check it out, a few $100 here, a few $100 there. They were sleeping in the truck, but no, man, Dave, you know, he's, you know, Danny's doing very, very well too. But Cooper, he was able to take it to another level. And
100%.
you're seeing the results of it now, which I just every time I see him, I watch him. You know, he's just become, you know, number 4 from Canada for us. You know, there's the brothers, and Gussie came along, and look who's pulling up here now. So it's awesome to see it's really cool to see him so young and think what's ahead of him. You know, the good stuff, the heartaches in fishing, because let me tell you, if you're going to fish, especially at the level he's getting to now, you better be able to handle the heartaches, because it's going to come. He's going against the best of the best now.
Absolutely. And one thing that I truly value is his time, and I know he's a busy lad. I want to bring him in because I think we've done enough embarrassing of him behind the scenes. The one and only Cooper Gallant. How you doing, sir?
Good. So, Big Jim, you just mentioned that story about me and Dan, right? Look who's with me.
Hey,
Looky here, there he is. How you doing, buddy?
That's awesome.
just sitting here relaxing and actually just caught a 10-pounder on Lake Fork.
Ooh, really?
He called me about, I don't know, 2 hours ago. Or actually, before he called me, he posted a thing on social, or he sent me a Snapchat, and he said he caught a giant. So he came back. We got a measuring tape. We got a scale. We weighed it, and got the dimensions. He's going to get a replica of it. So
Oh, nice.
great big one. Yeah.
Is that his first 10?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is DB.
Wow.
Absolutely awesome.
Because like when he first got here 2 days ago, he's like, I want to catch one over 10. And he caught a 10-pounder. So he's all fired up. Now we're kind of celebrating a little bit, having a couple beers and a little bit of off time. It's nice to just kind of chill for a little bit.
You've been going hard, and I have to say, Coop, right off the bat, thanks so much for all the videos you do. You make my job so much easier with all the videos that you post. And I don't know if it's your brother or if it's you, but they're awesome. They are truly gems that you're sharing with us. So we truly appreciate you keeping us up to date on your travels, and your travels have been all over the place. As you said, a little bit of R&R. You're probably getting ready for the Classic. How are you going to spend the next little while getting ready for that Classic?
Yeah, it's coming quick. Honestly, I don't really have any time to prepare and get ready for it. I got to get out of here so rewind a little bit. So we just finished up Lake Fork last week. And I've just been spending all week editing, putting out videos on social media, getting back to sponsors, doing some Zoom calls here and there. And then today's really kind of my first slow day. I got to be out of this place here on Fork tomorrow morning with Dan. So we've just been like kind of cleaning the house and getting all the stuff organized and ready to get out of here in the morning. But I got to head to Tulsa. And what day is it today? The 11th? Yeah, so I got to head to Tulsa on the 13th, and we start practice on the 14th. So I really don't have much time. Like tomorrow, I'm going to spend all day organizing the boat, respooling all my rods, cleaning it. I'm pretty sure I still have a couple peanut butter sandwiches in the cooler. Yeah, just like cleaning, organizing, get to the house in Tulsa, and then we start practice on the 14th, and then it's go time. It's crazy.
I got to tell you a quick story about a sandwich. When Rocky and I fished together, we were up in Midland, and he got a sub from some sub place. It wasn't Subway; it was some other place, and he's got it in the boat. And I said to him, "Put it in the compartment there behind the seat." And he's trying to put it. He didn't want to crush it. The lid was tight because we had rain suits just filled in and everything. So he opened up the back and he sat it between the two batteries. Just sat the bag with the sandwich in there. So we had a day it was just a great day. We caught 1 million fish. We culled all day. I think we weighed like 19 pounds. We tied for first place, and then we did a coin flip and lost.
Oh, jeez.
I told Rocky, I says, tails. So Mandic flips the coin, and Rocky says heads.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But anyway, so we come home, we leave. It's all good. We get home. And about 3 or 4 days later, I go out to clean out the boat. I'm out there and I'm getting some stuff out. And I know the rain suits were in there, but fortunately they were bone dry and I got them out. I had everything sitting on the boat, all the compartments open. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, I can smell something. And I go down in the back and I open it up and it's like got maggots crawling all over it. He's nodding. He's been there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It was just scary, but I swear to God, the sub was moving in the bag. It was like it was going back and forth. They were all in there eating.
Good time.
Oh, that just came to mind when you said that. Yikes!
That's funny.
Good times. Now, Coop, I want to get to some of the accomplishments, but the one thing that I did want to talk about, and this is honestly why I love it. A lot of us love you in the industry is you're real, dude. You call it as you see it. You don't hide behind anything. You're straight up. And I know you get a lot of crap from folks, when you don't have a good day of practice or things aren't going your way. But I want to share this with you because this is authentic Coop. And if you've ever seen him during practice and he shares with you some of the concerns he's having, he'll tell you straight up. And I absolutely love this piece.
Hey guys, day number 1, stop number 1 of the Elite Series starts here on Toledo Bend in the morning. I know I say this a lot and everyone always chirps me for it, but practice was brutal. But usually, I have a lot of bad practices, but a lot of times I have a clue at what I need to do. This time around, I'm confused. I don't really have that much of a clue as to how to catch 5 big ones. Every day of practice, I was getting 2 to 7 bites a day. Keeper bites. It's been an absolute grind. The fish just seem super scattered, but we're in Texas. Guys are going to smash them. It's going to take a lot of weight to win. It's going to take a lot of weight to cash a check. But I'm looking forward to getting out tomorrow. Just going to treat tomorrow as day 4 of practice. Try and figure it out as we go. And I either check in at 4 o'clock or 4:30. I got to double check that. But make sure to tune in to bassmaster.com. Check out the live weigh-in. And just another big thanks to all my friends and family back home for the support. My sponsors. Means the world. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully we can figure it out.
Jim, doesn't get any realer than that.
No, it's what it is. It's what it is.
There's times people are getting sick of them, of me saying that because I do say it a lot, but I'm being honest. I've won 1 Bassmaster Open, and Danny's sitting right beside me. I told him I was on him. Nothing changes. I'm gonna catch him. I'll tell you. But I'm not joking. There's so many tournaments where practice was I'll have decent practices. I'll have some really good ones, and then I'll have some bad ones. And Toledo Bend and Lake Fork, they were bad. I was catching big ones. The ones I was catching were big. Lake Fork, for example, day 1 of practice, I had 4 bites. Day 2, I had 1 bite. And this is sun up to sundown. And day 3, I was my best day. I think I had 7 or 8 bites. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I don't know. I just, like I said in that video, I just kind of learned how to treat day 1 of the tournament as day 2 or as day 4 of practice, and kind of just not spin out and just go fishing and just try and figure it out, I guess. I don't know.
And it's interesting, Coop, because I think with some of the pros that we've seen over the years, Big Jim being one, it almost seemed automatic, and what you present to us is the realness of what this competition is and how fierce it can be. Even for us, I would say, I know your rookie year was last year and you're in your second year now, but dude, you've been doing this for a long time. And it just it's so authentic, it's so real, it's so raw, and I love how things come together for you, because you've been catching some donkeys, absolute donkeys.
The last couple of weeks have been. I just finished filming about an hour ago a wrap up for Lake Fork and for my chase videos, and I said, it was so many downs or so many lows, so many highs. Like, I'm talking lows to the point where I'm like so confused. I don't know how to catch a bass. It feels like I don't even know how to catch bass anymore. And then you're on these big highs where you're like, oh, I'm gonna crack them, and then you're on the lows, things are breaking. As many of you guys saw in my post, my phone dropped in Lake Fork. Couldn't figure out, I was kind of confused on how to kind of go about this tournament. And then the tournament rolled around and had a decent day one. I only weighed in 4. They were good ones, but even after day one, I was like, okay, we caught 4. They're big, but I still really haven't got very confident in an area or gotten very confident what I'm doing until day 2 rolled around. And then, like I said, I was kind of treating every day as a practice day. And then I just started learning more and started expanding more, and it all worked out. But the last couple weeks have been crazy.
They really have. And I have to say,
if you were to tell me last week I was going to get 2 top 10s in the first 2 events, I'd be like, after the practices I had, I'd be like, you're crazy. There is 0 way.
Well, as I said, I can speak on behalf of all of us. We are truly proud of your accomplishments. But the thing that I am so amazed at is someone like yourself, who, in some cases doesn't spend a lot of time on these waters, is able to hone in and find quality fish like this. And your expression was my expression. I mean, and I'm not even going for money, but dude, what an accomplishment it was. And a big shout out, because in the last tournament, I believe you have now eclipsed the Century Club, and you have yourself a belt. And this was the fish that did it.
Yeah.
That's her.
This is at 210, second at 2. My favorite fish.
And I'm you're so casual with those fish at the side of the boat.
Please be a Century belt.
Or 0.
Look at this.
Oh, yeah.
Look at this.
Now, is it safe to say, Coop, that this fish broke off and it hit you a second time?
Yeah, so that's
How about that?
it was the same.
That's
It was so 5 minutes before I hooked that fish, I snapped him off, and
Bit again.
it bit again.
That's a Century
It was
belt
crazy.
right there.
Got my bait back and everything, and 90% of the time they don't do that. And that was just one of the things that happened throughout the week on Fork and Toledo that just worked out. And again, there were so many highs. Though that was a high, that was awesome. And then there were so many lows, lost some, but in the end, it all evened out and it worked out. But it's funny because going into the final day of Lake Fork, I only needed 12 pounds to get over 100 to get the Century belt. And going into the final day, I'm I had the mindset, I want to win. So I'm I need 40 pounds to win. And then 2 o'clock rolls around. I got to check in at 3. I'm and then my mindset started going to, I just need to catch a bass because I want that Century belt. And 2 o'clock rolls around and I only have 8 pounds in the boat. And I'm I only needed 12 pounds, right? And if I can't catch 12 pounds, the opportunity for a century belt doesn't come up very often. So I'm just like thinking to myself, like, if I can't catch 12 pounds, I will be so disappointed in myself. Like, oh, it's crazy. And then that happened. And then like so much weight came off my shoulders. Because I don't know, that might not ever happen again for me. So I'm glad it all worked out. I got lucky with that last one biting again. That just don't happen very often.
No, dude, I couldn't believe when I saw the video. I'm like, no, there's no way it broke off and he re-caught that same fish. That's incredible. Jim, I'll let you ask a question because I'm sure you have a million at this point.
How long before when that fish broke off? How long before you caught it again?
About 3 minutes, Big Jim.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I saw one. I've told the story about the one with Rocky and I on the St. Lawrence when he broke it off on a Friday. And on Saturday, I said to him, let's go back and look for one-eye Larry. Because when the fish was wallowing on the top coming out of the mat, it was missing an eye.
No way.
We're driving down the St. Lawrence River, and Rocky, I said to him, go to the mat. And we turned in and went into this little cut that this fish was in beside some reeds. And I look, you could still see the hole where Rocky pulled the fish out. And I went up in front of the boat. I put the electric down. We're about 20 feet away from the weed. I kept his way because the wind was blowing in toward it. And I said, come on, catch your fish. And he looked at me. He said, no, you try. I broke it off. You try. And I threw in, and I still remember looking at him and saying, Larry's home.
That's crazy.
And it was, I had to learn it well. I was one of those gambler craws we used to talk about all the time.
That's fun. That's
Same
awesome.
out of the same hole. Like the hole was like, had to
Unreal.
move the mat, got all pulled up.
Yeah, that was his home.
Yep.
Now,
That was
Steve's
before
asking,
grade, though.
are you weighing because of a slot size down there? Or are you allowed one over, or how does it work?
Yeah, so I think, so it has to be over 24 inches in order to bring it in to weigh it in. Like in order to put it in your box, has to be over 24. So like Danny, like he literally just caught that 10-pounder. It was 24 3/4. So he brought it to the boat ramp and we got
Only 24, eh?
Wow. Incredible. Now, you talked about some of the lows. Let's talk again more about the highs and this buzzer beater. I'd like you to line this up for us because this.
Sorry, guys, just give me 2 seconds. I apologize. My laptop's gonna die any second. I'm just gonna go get a charger.
No problem, dude. As I said, Jim, we have the pleasure of having him. This would be the third time I believe we've had him on live.
Isn't he a gem?
I can't say enough. I really can't.
He's a young kid. He's a good kid. You can see it's just oozing out of him. He loves what he's doing, and he's got the drive to succeed. Like that is like just like I just get bent out of shape when I watch him the way he goes. So, like he said, sun up to sundown, that kind of stuff. It's so cool.
It is, and I have to say, Jim, how many century belts have you got yourself? I know I'm missing a few.
In Canada, Rocky got in a classic in the Ottawa River when it was 4 days. He was, I think, at like 83 or something.
Jeez, I just find it amazing. I like, and to see him this casual with all the fish at the side of the boat, I'd be freaking at that point.
No, you have to be.
Wow.
And you know the other thing too, Scotty, when you've caught a lot of big fish like that, you don't get bent out of shape and think you're going to miss it. It's not like a guy, like a weekend guy that doesn't get the fish and he's got the 6-pound smallmouth at the side of the boat and everybody's freaking, he's chasing it with the net by the tail or something.
Yeah.
There's a coolness there because you've caught big fish like that before. You don't get really bent out of shape about it. Yeah.
See, well, that's the amateur in me because I'd be freaking. And how you cradle them and the whole bit, like I'm just amazed. I really am amazed.
I love the best thing of the whole thing last week when you catch that fish, the last one I think it is, and you scoop it at the side of the boat with your arm and you look back because the camera is there. The look on your face, it's done.
Absolutely.
I just got a grin from here to here just thinking about it again. It was 100%. So cool. Yeah.
So we're talking about the buzzer beater. For those who didn't follow or weren't able to follow the event, you managed to pull in this donkey in the last few minutes before you had to rush off to the ramp. Just tell us about what this was as a feeling and the rush that you now have to get back to the ramp to weigh in your fish.
Yeah, so this was a big one late in the day. This was 2:54, and I had to weigh in at 3 o'clock. And I caught this one. It was a 7.7, and that's the one that did it for me. That's what got me into the top 10. Yeah, crazy. On day, I think it was day 2, I caught a 9-pounder, a 9.15 in that area. And there was one little jet out off the bank that just looked good. Hadn't fished it all, the whole tournament, all of practice, nothing, but it looked good. I knew there was some fish in that area. And I rolled in there with like, I don't know, I think I had 15 minutes to fish, but I started up a bit higher. And then I got to that like juicy little jet out. It just looked good on the map, and I rolled up. And again, it was right close to where I caught that big one in the tournament. And then I caught another big one there in practice. And I saw 2 fish sitting on a piece of timber. And I threw it out there and I was throwing a minnow on a golden eye head, just like an old jig head. And it was getting to the point, like sometimes it's like, you know, when you're working a jerk bait, it's coming close to the boat and like you're running out of room. That's kind of how it was with that fish. I was like twitching my minnow and it's right behind it, like kissing it. Like his lips were basically on it. And I'm like, I can see him on live scope. I'm twitch. And I'm just like, oh, please bite like now because I'm running out of room. I had like 10 feet left. And then he bit, hooked her, got her in the boat, literally put it on the scale, 7 pounds, 7 ounces, threw my rod on the front deck, put the rod straps on. I'm like, we got to go. And I got in with 30 seconds to spare.
Whoa. Oh, jeez. That's incredible.
That was crazy.
And what is incredible, as you mentioned, 2023 was a great year for you. 2024 is panning out to be an even better, and it's hard to believe that you're able to set the bar that much higher. But 2 top 10s, first 2 tournaments, like you got to be sitting on a bit of a cloud right now. But I know you're a focus kid. Your heart's on your sleeve. And you want to win, and how badly you want to win. But I have to say, I appreciate the fact you're sitting back and having a cold one, because you do got to enjoy the journey.
Yeah, for sure. It's been go for the past, not even 2 weeks. Like even before that, I was sun up to sundown pre-practicing Lake. So I literally was up until the last final day here on Lake Fork of the tournament. I literally fished for 30 days straight, sun up to sundown. So this break's nice. It's been good. Been having some time to get some videos done. And like I said, today's the first day where I've really kind of just got to chill and not do a whole lot. But like I said, it's going to start getting hectic again here in about 3 days once we start for the Classic. But yeah, I'm excited. Great start to the season. But that being said, I don't know. I've kind of told myself over the past few years to definitely get high and be on a cloud. It's good. You got to enjoy it. You got to take it all in, but it's still early in the season. I got to keep focusing on the next few.
Oh boy. Jim, I know you probably got a question before we wrap it up.
No question. I just want to tell them, be disciplined and beat the hell out of it, buddy. Don't let it get you down. Motivation's got dick to do with it. It's discipline. Yeah. It's not what you think about doing. It's what you do.
Yeah.
And when I changed my life a lot because of the gym, because of my mobility issues, I got home from the Quinny show last night. I came in the door right here from the truck, and it took me like 5 minutes to get to the living room. And 7 o'clock this morning, I was talking to Scotty there. 6:30, I was out the door to the gym. You gotta once you get something and you're doing it, and you want to be a success at it. The blinders go on, and you gotta do it. Yep. Cool. I wish you nothing but good, buddy. I love you, pal.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it big time. Appreciate it. And good luck to you guys this year. And I know back home, the ice is melting. And
it's gone.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Where's the guy beside you? Say goodbye to him for us.
Yeah, he's outside now, but I'll tell him.
Yeah, cool.
Really appreciate your time, as always, dude.
Yep.
And
anytime, guys.
You're making us so proud, my friend. Keep up the great work.
Appreciate it.
All the best, dude. Jim, as always, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. It's a pleasure to talk to Coop.
What a great quote. I'm just sitting here and I'm beaming.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm just ready to go. Like, I'm hoping someone knocks on the door right now to try to collect a bill from 30 years ago. I'd open up the whoop ass real quick right now. I'm in a really good mood.
That's hilarious. And, it's a lot of stained water from what I see down there, Jim. Obviously he's not, Coop's not in a position to talk about tactics and presentations necessarily. But like one of the things that I took away is that I see a lot of swim baits being used. Is it that time of season for those?
Scotty, it's what the fishing has become.
Gotcha.
Gussie winning the Classic this is like the biggest phenomenon that there is in fishing. I was trying to explain to a guy the other day. He says, I see these guys talking about they're fishing with these little, and he called them pissy little plastic minnows for bass. The hell ever happened to a 10-inch power worm, and stuff like that. And I said, well, times have changed, Whatever happened to a 6-inch straight cream worm 60 years ago?
True enough.
Yeah. My first Classic, when I won it in Canada, the first couple of days, and then on the end of the third day, almost all the fish came. I caught them on a jig or on a straight 6-inch purple worm. And I remember I was freaked out about sinkers, and you couldn't buy painted sinkers then. You could buy black or lead, just the finish, eh? Yeah. And I sat at home with them on a toothpick, painting them coat after coat of purple paint, adding a little bit of white to the paint, swirling it around, trying to match it because I wanted it to be exactly the same. Now I use red sinkers. I love them. You know what I mean? It's
so true.
I can see myself a long time ago being like he is right now.
Yep. I
know.
I
to a whole other level,
I think about that often, that you see yourself with, the Gussies of the world, the Johnsons, and of course, Coop. And I have to say, when I found out how old he is, I mean, he's old enough to be one of my kids. I think what he's accomplished at his age, just incredible, man. Absolutely incredible.
He's coming.
Jim, as always, thanks so much for your time. We have one outro. I got Cooper, who's going to share with us the importance of having the right stick in the right situation.
Yeah, buddy.
Guys, it's been a crazy last couple weeks for the first two stops, the Bassmaster Elite Series. First stop, Toledo Bend. Second stop, Lake Fork. Was lucky enough to get 2 top 10s to start the season off. Super thankful. It's been a pretty wild couple weeks. What's even crazier is practices were brutal. It was not expected to do this good in the first 2. Kind of just figured it out on the go, but I wanted to quickly talk about the rod that I've been literally sticking in my hands 80% of the time over the past 2 weeks for the first 2 stops. And that is the G Loomis IMX Pro 892S JWR and the 893. The 3 power, it's a medium heavy. I'd throw that rod when I was getting around a lot of timber. You can really jack them. It's a little bit stiffer of a rod, but you don't want them getting in the timber. So when I was around a lot of timber, I'd throw the 893. When I was in a little bit sparser stuff, I'd throw the 892. And that's again, G Loomis IMX Pro. That's been a staple for me in the past 2 events. If you guys are looking for like a good rod that you want to throw little minnow baits on, anything of that nature, check out the 892 and 893 IMX Pro by G Loomis. That's the JWR. I've got it paired up with Shimano Vanford 10-pound Power Pro braid to a 10 or 12-pound Shimano Mastiff FC fluorocarbon. And man, this rod's been good to me the last couple events. I promise you'll like it.
Lawrence, how are you tonight, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, awesome. After that, it's always a pleasure, one, to talk to Jim, but when we get a special guest like Coop come in, and we're so proud of him. As Canadians, man, we are so proud of what he's accomplished, and I can't thank him enough for his time. But he keeps us well informed. He keeps us entertained, and we just love the fact he's Canadian.
Oh, I know, right? And you know what? Like, we've got so many great fishers hanging out in the United States now, and Dave Mercer, kind of feel like he's not the first guy to go down there and bring the Canadian flag. We've had some great people down there, fishing down there, and but it seems to be it's just growing exponentially now. It's fantastic.
It is. And, there is that element that Mercer brings that I talk about. And, anybody who's emceed an event or been there to introduce anglers, you might do it well, but Mercer does it perfect. Like it's literally flawless. And to see him exceed like he does, the memory that he has about the anglers that he's introducing, the level of passion and energy that he brings. I had the pleasure of seeing him at the Spring Fishing and Boat Show, and I had to shake his hand because I think a lot of it goes unnoticed because of the accomplishments of some of the anglers, what Dave brings to bass. But I'll tell you, he's on a stratosphere all his own when it comes to what he does for bass, what he brings to the industry, and of course that competition and all the anglers that compete. He's second to none, man.
He really is. And, he's that kind of guy that just takes the time and he's open and he's listening and he's asking questions and he's getting to know people, right? And he does that with everybody. He's got just a tremendous thirst for knowledge and for meeting people. And, he's not walking around listening to his own voice, telling everybody this and look how important I am, blah, 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 right? He's asking questions. He's meeting people. He's curious. And that's why people love him because he does make these connections with people. He is interested in these people's lives and he knows everybody. Like he knows everything about them, their families, the things they like, the things they don't like, their boo-boos, their strengths. It's just an amazing character.
Truly is. And as I said, very proud that we have some Canadians making waves down in an industry that you would think would be pretty much dominated by American anglers. And we're setting a path on our own. And what used to be just an honor to compete, we're now showing that we belong there. And I'll tell you, it's awesome. It's an awesome feeling. And I see Jim, I see the love and passion he still has because he sees a little bit of them in himself. And it's so cool. It's just so cool to be able to share all this.
And that passion that Big Jim brings to bass fishing, to fishing in general, I mean, that's contagious, right?
Amen.
So when he talks to these young people and he spreads that contagion amongst them, they think, oh my God, like, it's where else do you hear that? Where else do you get that? Like probably not from your spouse, not from your kids, not from your parents necessarily. They think you're just nuts when you talk about fishing, and you gotta hold back, not to, otherwise you're going to be locked up somewhere in a loony bin.
Well, I had to move out to start CFN. No, I'm kidding. My parents would have grounded. No, they would not have. They were been very supportive. But needless to say, you never know where something's going, where it's going to take you. And Coop knew at a very young age that this is what he wanted to do, as did Jim, as did a lot of these successful Canadian anglers. And I'll tell you, I'm tickled pink to be a part of it in a small way. But it is an honor to be along for the ride, and that ride last year at the Classic where Gussie won, it doesn't get any better than that. I'd love to see Coop pull this off himself because I think he's due. I know a lot of folks may say you got to get a little bit of time under your belt. I think he's done that, and the fact that he's able to share the stage with some of these sticks that you see winning on a regular basis is a true accomplishment in itself for him.
Yeah.
As it is, we're here again for another Monday. If you've missed any of our other podcasts or any of the podcasts, make sure you go over to Bluefish Radio. If you have an Alexa, just say, Alexa, what's new on Bluefish Radio? And you'll be able to get caught up real quick. But I know you've got a lot of news that you want to cover, Lawrence. So what are we starting with first?
Yeah, well, let's talk about a couple new books that just came out. First one is In Search of the Great Canadian Shark. So this is a book that was just written by a friend of mine, Dr. Chris Harvey Clark. He's a professor at Dalhousie University. If you look at any show that's filmed news or TV shows that deals with sharks in Canada, he's on it. He's the go-to expert guy, right?
Yeah.
And, everything. Like he's been on River Monsters. He's on the news. He's everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's done a lot of underwater photography. He's got 2 books of photography, marine life photography. So if you're interested in that, check him out. contact him, Chris Harvey Clark at gmail.com. And this new book, In Search of the Great Canadian Shark, it's a reflection on the fact that they're dealing with so many great white sharks now off the coast of Canada, the east coast of Canada, right? So there's a lot of research going on. It's new research. This is a new phenomena. We had all these seals, and hence comes their greatest predator, the great white shark, to snack on these seals. So they've been having at it. And you want to know to what extent, man, check out his book. It's about his life too of shark research across Canada. He's just an amazing guy, and it's worth reading. The other book I want to talk to you about is Thinking Big About Small Scale Fisheries. It's 25 stories. It's a free book. If you want to get the link to that, check out the Bluefish News, or just send me an email. Thinking Big About Small Scale Fisheries is about all across Canada. So, we're not talking about giant commercial fishing boats. We're talking about ma and pa kind of fishing license people, right? That inherits fishing licenses, that manage to buy a fishing license at some point, fishing the Great Lakes, fishing, Lake Winnipeg, West Coast, East Coast, the Arctic, all of it. And what's going on? These are our brothers and sisters, right? These are our co-fishers. These are the ones that fish for a living by catching and selling fish for food. It's a different than, tournament fishing for sure, but their livelihood depends on them finding fish, catching fish, and doing it in a sustainable way so that they can do it year after year after year. And so there's some great stories in there. I co-wrote chapter 6 on there. It's about the Great Lakes, and there's some really good authors in there. People you'll know, names you'll recognize. If you're curious about fishing and the commercial side of fishing, it's amazing how much we don't know about commercial fishing in Canada. And yet here we are with the longest coastline of any country in the world, with 21% of the fresh surface water, not the aquifer water, but the fresh surface water, 21% of it is located here in Canada. We have the largest freshwater commercial fishery in the world that we share with the States and the Great Lakes. So yeah, we've got, fishing is sort of in our blood, right? It's all around us. So it's amazing how little we celebrate that and how little we talk about that and really, even support it with our own. And we talked about that, right? Just buying local seafood from local people who catch it and supporting that.
It is, and I think it's something that we got to kind of get back to. At least I'd like to see us get back to it, where we're exploiting or promoting, whichever way you want to look at it, what's in our own backyard. And at the end of the day, yes, anybody can go out to a lake and hopefully catch some walleye to eat, but as I said, with these commercial folks that are going out and they're trying to feed their families, they're trying to feed themselves and feed, perhaps multiple nations, not just one. I'd love for it to become centralized again, so that you could go down to the pier like you do out on the East Coast, and you hit up one of the commercial anglers for a bag of lobsters or a bag of mussels or whatever. That very personal relationship that you have with the commercial anglers has certainly been lost out this way. The narrative that has been dictated through the media and various other sources doesn't really shine a great light on commercial fishermen, but we know we can't live without them.
I know, and we're told we should be eating more fish because it's good for us, not like hamburger or most other meats and proteins. This is something that's really, really good for us, and we should be eating it 1 or 2 meals a week. So what do you make sure you get, sustainably harvested fish that's safe to eat? These guys who sell the stuff, they have to follow Canadian Food Inspection Agency rules in terms of contamination levels, and they're stricter often than what we get on our own fish consumption advisories. So it's pretty squeaky clean fish for sure. And anyways, and it supports, local business, right? And just to be next to someone who fishes for a living, I just find it so inspirational. It's so, it's like meeting Jeff Gustafson or any of those champion bass fishing people. You put them and you put the commercial fishers right beside them who risk their lives to go out there and catch fish for us. They're both my heroes for sure.
100%. I wanted to bring something up, and I'm so glad that you did, Ed, because it reminded me, because it did take us back. And there's a video that you shared where someone finally paints a picture that is designed for the blind to see. You could tell that it was very moving for you. Truly an experience that only you could truly share the essence of, because unfortunately we're not blind, so we don't know. But we take it for granted sometimes, the fact that we can see. And in that moment that we see you, scrolling across the braille, it hits you. Share with us the feeling of that, because that really seemed monumental.
Yeah, so that's technology. I've been, chasing technology for many years on, how to feel pictures and feel, things around me, not just things that are at an arm's length, but, actual pictures of things that you don't get to visit personally. And even if you're standing there, it's just too big to touch anyway. So what am I looking at here? And watching this technology, so many different technologies come out, and it's just like, whoa, that was overhyped. And then over and over again, how many times was something overhyped, right? And it just happens all the time. And then you get that call from Canon camera company and say, hey, we got something interested. You interested in helping us promote it? And I said, maybe, tell me more. So I signed a non-disclosure agreement. They flew me out to London in the UK there, and they introduced me to this National Geographic photographer who took a picture of a rhinoceros, the last living northern white rhinoceros male. There's 2 females left, and there was one male, and he's dead now, but he took a picture of it. He does environmental photography. And then they made it, they took his picture and they ran it through this new printer they make that actually makes the picture tactile. So it looks great and you can feel it at the same time. It's amazing, right? Like, this is groundbreaking stuff. And then to actually feel a picture, like not dots, not braille, but actually feel the actual picture, blew me away. I didn't know what to expect. And I was really, I was on had an emotional reaction to it, of course, because, it's, like I said, it's something I've been pursuing for over 30 years. And then to come so close to it now with this new technology. So the embargo came off. I'm allowed to talk about it. They've made 4 videos of blind people in different parts of their life, experiencing pictures that are of relevance to them. One young pregnant mother got to feel the picture of her baby, that they did with a scan of her belly, right? And they come up with those pictures. She got to feel the baby, what it looks like inside her belly, things like that, right? Just powerful stuff. Anyways, it's pretty cool. It's not smoke and mirrors. This stuff is really working. It's not perfect. Your fingers will never replace your eyeballs. But, when they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, they say that for a reason, obviously, because pictures convey a lot more than just information. And when you're just describing a picture, it's not easy to describe the subjectivity, the beauty. You can describe there's a tree with a mountain in the background, a lake in the foreground, blah, 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 blah. But to actually touch it then and to feel everything and it's that much more powerful, like great photographs and great art is, right?
Well, it was very powerful for us to see and to see you experience and it hit me kind of like you see those videos of children who are deaf and they put in the hearing aids and they hear for the first time. Like it looked like you could see for the first time in a long time. So thanks so much for sharing that with us. And it really, I think anybody who follows you and knows you, it really set us back. Like, wow, that was really cool, man. Holy smokes.
Every so often I get pulled into the world of technology, but if I think about my 60 years on this earth and how much has evolved, like when I was a kid, my future was either tuning pianos or being on a disability pension. There wasn't very many career opportunities, right? There was no computers. There was very little thing blind people could do for a living other than selling pencils out of a can on the corner. And so just to see technology just come in waves after wave after wave. And, I get involved when there's something good, I get involved with pushing it and saying, like, this is something we all need access to. Let's make it happen, And so, yeah,
Well, that's why we
one
love
day.
you, dude, because you push stuff that in a lot of cases goes unseen.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, a lot of the news that you share with us, we'd have a hard time finding. So I won't hold you up because I know you've got more to share.
Yeah, let's get back to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? So we talked about fishing in the Arctic. So the Arctic is getting more and more open. Like we have ships crossing, the Northwest Passage now regularly. We have Russians, piling up their military and ready to take over the Arctic Ocean. Everyone's interested in the Arctic Ocean. And who's really interested in it is the Inuit who live there are finally interested, can actually go out and fish it, right? And we were talking about the boats they're building and the licenses they're getting. It turns out it's the one part of the ocean in the world that we know the least about. Like so they sent a drone down there and they were taking pictures of crazy, crazy things that we know nothing about, like a feathered starfish and spoon worms with meter-long tongues, right?
What?
Yeah, spoon worms with meter-long tongues that they use for tasting things down there before they eat it. It's just all sorts of weird creatures living in the Arctic. And these are things, the ocean's so cold, like it's -1 degree up there in the water. And yet these things are living and growing, but you know how slow they grow, right? Like a Greenland shark, how old do you think a Greenland shark is? And these are sharks from the Arctic, right? That live in the northern climates. How old do you think an adult Greenland shark gets to be?
I'm going to say in the hundreds. It's got to be hundreds of years old.
Yep, 350 to 400 years old.
Holy shit.
Like sturgeon in the Fraser River lived 150 years old, right? Greenland shark, 350 to 400 years old. And at that point, they're 12, 14 feet long. And, they're just old fish. And everything grows so slowly. So this is a question. What's growing down there? How long does it take to grow? How long does it take to grow back if we start catching the crap out of it? Are we going to be eating 300, 400-year-old fish? What's that bioaccumulated over the years, And so there's a bunch of questions we have to ask about commercial fishing in the Arctic Ocean. And there's, thankfully, vast portions of the Arctic Ocean is still covered by sea ice, right? So they can't just, fish everywhere. But the parts that are opening up are being fished and fished before we really know what it's going to mean for the creatures down there. And it's going to be interesting. We still got so much more to learn about that.
Amen. 100%. Wow. Yeah, I had newfound admiration for the Greenland shark. I thought, wow, look at this. Look at how slow this thing's going to starve. It moves so slow and yada, yada, yada. If I was 400 years old, I wouldn't be busting a move either. So, yeah.
No, you're not spending energy you don't need to spend, right?
That's it. Exactly.
But you know what? My friend, in his book, he talks about an encounter with a Greenland shark. Everyone thinks they're very docile creatures. But you know how they hunt? They sneak up on you. And they do it because they have a lot of those epidural cells that can pick up muscle electrical pulses, right? So they can sense your energy, the electrical energy coming from your muscles, and they can come up and, the water is very murky in the north, and further north you get, it's very, a lot of sediment, it's very dark. And at night in the winter, he was filming down there in the up north in Newfoundland, and it's just something. He wasn't sure what it was. He just turned around quickly, and there was this giant eye, just inches from the back of his head, and then it just changed course and swam away. It was a Greenland shark that just swam right up behind him. It was going to taste his head or something. It was just, that's how they do it. They just sneak up on things and bite them. And he almost got chomped by a big Greenland shark.
Okay, so I won't be swimming in the Arctic based on water temperatures and now this. Corey just mentioned something about the Greenland shark. Before you can eat it, they have to ferment the shark meat before you can eat it. I didn't know that.
There's so much ammonia in the meat because, I guess these things pee through their skin.
Yes.
And the ammonia just builds up in the meat. So what they do in Iceland, apparently, or Greenland, I think it's Greenland, is they'll catch one, they'll bury it in the sand for up to a year. And they'll just leave it there, and then the ammonia soaks out. It dissipates right out of the body of the animal, and then they dig it up and then they eat it.
Okay, I'm gonna pass on that too. Wow, I'm losing weight already. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Ed is sharing a fun fact with us. Ocean fish are making their way into the Northwest Territories. He hears.
Yeah. Yeah, like salmon are going around. The fish are going into the Arctic Ocean. They're swimming down the Mackenzie River. Pink salmon. Salmon. The people, the Inuit who have lived up there for centuries, thousands of years, have never seen some of the salmon species that are going into the Mackenzie River before. So yeah, this is the new place for them, right? They're exploring rivers that they've never explored before for new habitat, for colder, cleaner water. So, everything's shifting north. Everything's shifting north for sure.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Carry on, my friend. We still got lots of time.
So speaking of fish and fishing and people who fish, recreational fishers in Newfoundland, Labrador are saying, hey, you know what? We want to be able to catch more cod to eat just for ourselves, not to sell, but just for food. And they think, that we know the northern cod stock off the northern tip of Newfoundland is quite healthy. And there's talking about, a limited commercial fishery on that. But they're saying there's cod out there now. And why can't we go out there and catch 5 or 10 and have them in our possession for food? And so they're signing a petition. They got 2,200 signatures so far. And, they're hoping to get more. But, is that a good sign? Is it a bad sign? Who knows? But maybe it is a sign of the cod fishing is slowly returning. Not so much in the southern part of Atlantic Canada, but again, in the northern colder waters of Atlantic Canada, the cod stocks are rebuilding.
Well, you know what? It's good news, because if we got all those great whites living out on the East Coast and we got all these Greenland sneaky buggers that come up, I'm glad there's lots for them to eat, because it sounds like we need more than what we have.
Speaking of eating, I don't know if we covered this. I remember you talking about it. Maybe it was with Big Jim about what muskie eat, and this research that was published in Outdoor Canada magazine. It wasn't published, but it was an article in there from Gord Pizer. Just some interesting data. We'll go over quick if you want.
Yes, absolutely.
So perch make up 25% of a muskie's diet. That's their number one favorite thing to eat, I guess, is perch. Suckers and invertebrates make up 10% each. Suckers and invertebrates.
Really? That low?
Yeah, that low. That's another 20% together. So that's 45%. And then bullheads, northern pike, bass, and sunfish make up about 5% each of the diet for another 20%. So now we're into 60%. So not sure what the other 40% is made of, but I guess anything that swims, maybe ducklings, whatever the hell falls into the water.
Well, that's what Ed is saying. Muskie eat anything they want. And yes, fresh water, I wouldn't argue with the muskie either if it was hungry. So yes, as long as it just doesn't sneak up behind me or do that other thing that you mentioned about before we went live. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But yeah, it's interesting. A lot of folks are under the impression, I'm sure it's different when it comes to different water bodies, but a lot of folks are under the impression that muskie primarily eat walleye. And as Gord said, in all the research that he's done, it's not true. And there is a balance there. Do they eat walleye? Yes, they can. Is it their favorite food based on the science that's been done? The answer is no. So, for folks that have seen these horrific videos that have been posted on social media, people going out and purposely killing muskie for the sake of protecting the walleye, it doesn't have to happen. You don't have to do that. So it is a good food for thought.
And I'm retiring my walleye colored crankbait that I'm not going to be trolling that anymore up and down the Ottawa River. I've never caught a damn thing on it.
No kidding. No kidding. Carry on, my friend. I know you've got a couple more.
I do. So salmon recovery on the East Coast, the Petitcodiac River in New Brunswick. Petitcodiac River. In 14 years of rebuilding the Atlantic salmon stock there, they're seeing numbers going up finally. And you know what it comes down to? There's a new bridge that was installed over the river that's much easier for the salmon to move up and down the river now. And this is something I know Jason Barnucz mentioned too, about culverts, right? We put these culverts in over rivers, and there's maybe 6 inches of water over the rocks under the culvert. and it's just not, hospitable to the movement of bigger fish, right? It's seen as, I don't know what they don't like about it, but they just don't like it. They don't want to go through there. Maybe they feel vulnerable. Maybe the water's too warm. Maybe it's too skanky. I'm not sure, but making sure there's deep water under bridges for fish to move through, that seems to be the magic bullet that's going to make a big difference.
And it makes sense. I mean, if you think about it, of course, you get those back eddies, and there's a change in current, so you get resting areas for the fish. It holds bait fish in a lot of cases too. So, yeah, there are a lot. I 100% agree with that. And to me, a culvert just seems like one big giant fish. No wonder they don't want to swim through it.
Yeah. So here's something for the Upper St. Lawrence River freaks like me. I love it all, but the St. Lawrence River has a special place for me, not just because they named the damn thing after me, but we could debate that. It turns out they did a study on toxicity in the St. Lawrence River, the sediment and the water, and there's very high levels of toxin pharmaceuticals, and it's coming out of our wastewater treatment facilities. So isoprophene, caffeine, ibuprofen, and caffeine are two of the things they mentioned. I didn't know caffeine was in pharmaceuticals, but apparently they are. And they say it's in such high toxic levels that these scientists believe that it could be affecting the base of the life in the St. Lawrence River.
We have talked about this, and I just see Jay just chimed on here as well. We've talked about, what we're doing to our bodies of water and our fish by flushing, some of this stuff down or just using it. But ibuprofen was done out on the West Coast as well. And it was the largest concentration of a byproduct that they found in fatty fish.
Wow.
I couldn't believe that. But also they're finding hormones as well.
Yeah.
And
the estrogen.
They're wondering what this is doing to the fish.
Yeah. Yeah. They breathe this stuff. They live in it. They can't, like when, we have smoke alerts, we lock ourselves inside our homes, right? To keep away from the smoke. They don't have a choice. They're living in it, around the clock, day after day.
Unreal. Jay's, he just chimed in here. They're busy packing, and I knew he wasn't going to be with us tonight. I wasn't 100% sure, but we wish them safe travels because, of course, they're heading down. Because Owen is participating in the kayak championship down in Tulsa, and we're looking forward to seeing Jay next Monday. If he's able to do it, next Monday he's going to be live from Tulsa with the entire family's probably going to be there, but we'll see both Trevor and Owen, and we'll be able to congratulate him. I wish him luck for getting there, and that he hopes
stay out of the fire.
Yeah, hope he wins. But sounds like an awesome time. I still don't see Moose yet, so I'll say, you know what? Carry on.
All right, buddy. Okay, let's see. Okay, here's something. So we wonder the Great Lakes, right? We know 21% of the surface fresh water. I'm not sure it's all in the Great Lakes, but the Great Lakes has a lot of fresh water. So they have this thing they've been requiring international shipping to do called swish and spit. Before they come up the St. Lawrence River, they have to suck in ocean water and spit it out again before they're allowed to enter the St. Lawrence Seaway and come up into the Great Lakes to sort of flush out the ballast water, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they've been doing this now for a while. And the scientists have been watching this because it's pretty important that we don't have more invasive species. And they say there is no evidence of any new invasive species being brought into the Great Lakes by international shipping since the year 2006.
What?
News, huh? Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And it seems kind of straightforward to me. It's just an added preventative measure to get the ballast waters cleaned out and flushed out. And that I don't know. It seems so common sense to me. I'm surprised we weren't doing it already.
I know, eh? I mean, just stop. Okay, stop. Take a few hours, whatever, half a day, whatever it takes. And, for these guys that own the ships, every hour is money. But I don't care. You know what? You can't ruin the whole Great Lakes just because you want to save a few bucks, right? So stop your damn boat, take some new water in, spit it all out again, exchange the water, and then get on with it. But it's working. It's working.
Wow, interesting stuff. And to me, like it just, I don't know, it makes perfect sense. But here it is now. And it's a good thing in a lot of cases that we have the gobies and some of the invasive species we do talk about. I know there are some positives. It's not all negative, but the thing is, we don't want to spread anything anymore. And thankfully, these ships can't get any further to where they are currently now. So we have that going for us. You got any others?
I do.
Right on.
So there's 70 new species of invasive earthworms in North America. 70 species of invasive earthworms.
70 species.
Yeah. And where all the hell are all these earthworms coming from? And why are they being brought into this country? Apparently, people say they're good for gardening. It's good for the soil, blah, 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 right? And for the most part, it is, because earthworms, they chew their way into the soil. They create holes so water can get into the soil and flow into the soil instead of flowing over it, so that it oxygenates the soil. They poop out the soil and it becomes sort of fertilizer. All that's true. But these 70 different species of invasive earthworms, they don't behave the same way as the native earthworms, right? They're different. So the holes they dig are deeper, or bigger, or wider, or more, they're just different. And everything about them introduces a wholly different sort of life underground and a system for supporting life underground. And it's not the system that native plants in North America know. It's not the system that native plants in North America depend on. It's a system that plants from other parts of the world know. So it's causing our native plants to get stressed, and it's opening up our earth in North America to the spread of invasive species that come here, and they find a soil that's all ready for them, familiarized with them because of these earthworms, and they take off, So it's just something that small can tilt the balance. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought 70 invasive species of earthworms? Wow. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see what that's gonna what kind of effect that's gonna have on our native species of earthworms. And I can't imagine that. Do we have 30 of those? Like, how many species of worms are there?
Apparently more than 70, because those are the ones that just showed up recently.
That's incredible.
It's incredible. Like, I always thought there was red wrigglers and there's dew worms, right?
That's it. Yeah. What else is there? Like, holy smokes, that's incredible.
So here's something about the Fraser River.
Okay.
So there was an avalanche a while ago, and an oil truck was tumbled into the Fraser River, and 3 months went by before I guess the truck was removed in fairly short order. I'm not sure about the numbers on that, but the oil did leak out of the truck, and it was 3 months before anything was done about it. And now a native First Nations community in the area is suing the response people and saying, hey, you know what? You knew about this. It took you 3 months to show up and check it out, see what's going on, and do something about it. And, the damage has been done. Like, this whole idea of an emergency response system to oil spills on the West Coast, right? We spent many, many millions of dollars saying we're ready, bring on the oil ships, we're ready. Apparently not so much, right? This is not an oil ship, this is an oil truck. But yeah, it just goes to show you that fossil fuels, they cause problems. But you know what? We're also finding out that when it comes to LNG, liquefied natural gas, and other natural gas that's piped, there's like a 2.5% escape rate of natural gases from these pipes too, right? So this is methane and all these other gases that are leaking out of these pipes, and it doesn't sink into the ground, but it goes up into the air and causing greenhouse gases. So we're just starting to get a handle on this too. there was a satellite that just got launched into space. I think Eco Justice and the Department of National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration joined forces to pay for the satellite. It just got launched by one of Elon Musk's rockets, and it's going to go and peek around the North America and look for hot spots of methane gas. Methane gas is 99 times worse than CO2 gas for greenhouse gas for trapping heat on the earth. Methane gas does dissipate after about 10 years, but in 10 years it can cause a lot of damage. And apparently, we're producing a lot of methane gas, and we're using a lot of methane gas, whether it's burning off, cleaning up natural gas, or landfills or whatever. So this satellite's going to be sniffing around, taking pictures, looking for hot spots of methane gas on the planet around North America. So that should be interesting. We got a lot to learn about this. Like we hear so much about oil spills because it's right there. We see it, right? We see the results of oil spills, but we don't see the results of gas because it's invisible. But it's happening. It's happening. So there's my little lecture on that. We're gonna hear a lot more about that as time goes on.
Well, and it's interesting because that satellite will provide us a lot of information, but again, not to mention the name, there's a certain character that would love for us to be paying a lot more for that methane in the atmosphere. I don't know about politics because it just upsets me, but this is another way for him to find another means of making money on Canadians. But anyway, I do hope that it is put to good use, that we're able to find some of the sources that perhaps are unseen right now, that like we could see landfills that are producing a lot more methane than we first thought.
We should be tapping into that. We should be tapping in that, burning it, right, and making electricity out of it, stuff like that. And there's a big proposal here in the Ottawa area, Eastern Ontario, to set up a giant garbage incinerator at the site of an old sawmill on the shore of the Ottawa River. And the warden up there is saying, "Hey, bring me your garbage to Gatineau, to Ottawa, and the neighboring communities. Say, bring me your garbage. We want to set up a giant incinerator here." She was a member of Toronto City Council when they set up the incinerator in York, and that has been working well. Apparently, it's very clean, no ill effects, no pollution happening, groundwater, land pollution. Everything seems to be fine, and it works and so well. Now they're having to dig out old landfill sites and unbury the garbage to feed the monster, right? To feed this incinerator, to make sure it doesn't run out of garbage to burn up.
100%.
Yeah.
And Corey, you're right. We should be doing a little bit more to support our local farmers than trying to gouge them and introduce interesting ways for them to pay more in taxes. But alternative energy, 100%, Steve. It is going to become the future if it isn't already. And Richard has done some homework. Holy smokes. There are around 3,000 species of earthworms worldwide.
There you go. Holy crap. Wouldn't you like to have a collection of all those? No.
Some could grow up to 3 feet. Can you imagine the size of walleye you'd catch with a 3-foot earthworm? My Lord, that is interesting.
That's crazy.
I still don't see moose. Do you have any more that you can share?
One more, buddy. Yeah, I got one more.
Okay, buddy.
So here's the Great Lakes. Okay, what do we know about the Great Lakes water? So here's some numbers for you, for the number freaks listening in. I think it's pretty interesting. So in 2022, the amount of water we took out of the Great Lakes was 40.8 billion gallons. 40.8 billion gallons of water were taken out of the Great Lakes. Now, remember, there is an agreement between the Canada and the United States that no one is allowed to take water out without putting it back. You cannot take water out of the Great Lakes and leave with it. You can't suck it down a big long straw and then dump it into some creek that runs off in some other direction. You can't, just put it into a pond, like in big numbers. If you use it, you have to clean it and put it back. So 40.8 billion gallons of water were taken out of the Great Lakes in 2022. It's a 3% decrease from the year before, 2021. Less water. I guess more people going to the gym to shower. I have no idea why it's a decrease.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So if you factor in consumption use, what we drink and it evaporates out of our skin, and what we used maybe in growing, right, food and stuff, we ended up with a 869 million gallon more water was put into the Great Lakes than was taken out in 2022. 869 million gallons more water were put into the Great Lakes than taken out. So I guess that's the rivers, right? You know, the rivers flowing into the Great Lakes. It's a net gain for the Great Lakes.
Interesting. Well, you know, usually we'll see it in terms of floods and the aftermath of you know, weather events that become more horrific. Like you see what's going on the East Coast, and that wasn't a big storm, but it did pack a lot of wind. But you see a lot of coastal cities underwater right now, and you're starting to. Is it just me, or are we starting to see more of that? And of course, you know that we're going down the path of global warming and all that, and that is a hotly contested debate. And it doesn't matter which side you're on; you're all entitled to your opinion. I just believe it's a weather phenomenon that we are starting to see an escalated intensification in some of the weather events that we're having because of the amount of moisture that's in the atmosphere. So as much of it that's going back in our Great Lakes, that's great to hear. But our weather events, as you can well imagine and see and witness, are getting more intense.
More intense. I mean, we just finished the 7th hottest month ever recorded on record, February. You know, I don't know how far back those records go, but that was the hottest February ever recorded, and it follows 6 other months in a row of hottest months ever recorded. Now that's El Nino, that's climate change, it's a bunch of things, right?
Yeah.
But you know, I was just on TV this afternoon talking about, you know, just because the rivers and lakes are open, you should still think twice about just jumping in your kayak or canoe and going out for a paddle. The water's still very, very cold, right? It's not summer yet. And, but you know, people get excited, and it's, anyways,
well, we're getting excited. And, Jay actually shared a paper with us that we're going to probably talk about next week, the week after. You got a chance to read it as well. It's in our group chat. How the warming weather is affecting the spawn of our walleye and the spawning season for our walleye.
It's an interesting story, and Jason will tell it, but it's an interesting story about this misalignments and things like that. It's cool. It's evidence. It's evidence. Yeah.
Well, Lawrence, as always, dude, thanks so much for sharing yet another Monday with us and bringing us a whole boatload of facts. That kind of information, as I said, we yearn for, and we can't wait every Monday to gain some more. So, dude, hats off to you. Really appreciate the effort.
Thanks, buddy. Happy to be here to do this and share the information. You know, it's all in the Bluefish News. You want to sign up for that? Visit the Bluefish Canada website. Just sign on for the newsletter, and you'll get that, and the editorials and links to many other cool things, of videos, webinars, art stuff. It's you know, I try to make it people like that newsletter. It's catching on. It's growing and growing. We have over 5,000 subscribers now.
Right on, buddy. Good work. Keep up the great work, my friend. As I said, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you a part of our CFN community, Lawrence. And we bid you farewell, but we hope that you have a great week.
Thanks, buddy. You too.
All the best, my friend. All right. Well, I know Steve's going to be happy, and everybody else that is probably wanting to go off and get some stuff done. It's an early show, but it's been a great show. Moose obviously is busy. The man is constantly on the run, so I'm not the least bit surprised he's not able to make it tonight. But big shout out to Big Jim for bringing Cooper Gallant and organizing that, and of course Coop for making the time to share it with our community. We wish him nothing but the best of luck going forward. Look forward to seeing his successes at the Classic. But as I said, I think we can all gain something from what we've heard and learned about Coop tonight when it comes to passion and the pursuit of your dream. Stick with it. Don't give up. At the end of the day, it's really up to you. The sky's the limit on what we can achieve, and we're seeing that firsthand when we see groups coming together. It's awesome. So on that note, I'm going to bid you all a farewell. I hope all of you have a great week. We look forward to seeing you at the Sportsman Show. If, in fact, you're going to be there, I will be in the Next Gen booth. So come by, say hi, fill out a ballot, make a donation. We truly appreciate it. But nonetheless, we hope you guys have a great week. Love y'all. Dave, another inspirational person that set his mind to it and succeeded. Take us away, Dave. All the best, guys. Peace.
Well, as much as I hate to admit it, I guess we've run out of time. So I've enjoyed it, but I'm going to do something I haven't done since season 1. Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end.